Welcome back to my Switchblade run, fellow Wastelanders. When we left off this challenge a few days ago, I had just returned home after discovering Good Neighbor to make a later quest more expedient to complete, and was about to go and rescue Nick Valentine. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I'll stick a card in the corner that links to it so you can check it out. Also be sure to check out the channel linked in the description, as they served as the inspiration for this particular run. With all that sorted, let's get back into it. With all my meat cooked and the various weapons I was carrying scrapped for the parts that I didn't really need, I made my way back to Park Street Station so I could rescue Nick Valentine. I figured I'd have to play this one quite carefully because the triggermen often carry submachine guns and they can do a real number on your health if you're not careful. I did want to be sneaky at first, but when I saw that caution message I panicked and then charge killed this dude. As expected, the Tommy gun did a lot of damage to me, however the 10mm pistol wasn't much to worry about. I quickly searched for any caps that I could find and finished off the triggermen guarding the entrance before proceeding into the station. I tried again to be a sneaky little so-and-so, and I almost was successful. I mean, technically I was successful. I killed this dude whilst technically sneaking. I feel like he should have noticed me. I went through several stim packs in the preceding area. Triggermen have absolutely no chill, and I usually take them out from afar with a sniper rifle or laser gun, or just throw grenades down the stairs until they stop being alive. There were just so many of these bastards. But after once again effectively securing the title of God Queen of Murder Mountain, I made it to the vault entrance. Once again I tried being sneaky once I was inside, but it went about as well as all the other attempts went. I am impressed I managed to stop a baseball bat with what is essentially a metal toothpick. I slaughtered my way through an army of triggermen within the vault. Luckily these ones aren't as difficult to take out as the ones in the station because there's less cover for them to use and they can't exactly spread out and flank you.
Death from above.
I made my way towards the Overseer's office, quickly deleted the guard outside, and rescued Nick. We tell Nick our son's gone missing and he agrees to help us if we can get him out of this vault. I hit level 8, find a nice little bobblehead, then choose to invest in the first rank of the toughness perk. With that sorted, we make our way downstairs. I did try to sneak past the 3 dudes who come to check on the dead Dino. That was the guard's name, by the way, his name was Dino. Unfortunately, Nick kinda had other ideas. Nick, that is not how sneaking works! I should know! That's how I usually sneak! Amusing AI aside, we kill this trio, then slaughter our way through the rest of the vault. These triggermen weren't really much to deal with, but I knew their big boss man would be a different story. We reach the vault entrance and see Skinny Malone, the boss of the triggermen, and his girlfriend Darla. I try to make sure things end peacefully. It doesn't work, so me and Nick have to fight our way out. With Skinny and his goons dead, me and Nick can finally head back to the surface. He asks me exactly how I knew to look for him in the vault. I tell him it was dumb luck because I have to keep my precognitive abilities hidden from mankind. They're just not ready yet. After agreeing to meet Nick in Diamond City to discuss my case further, I quickly head back to Good Neighbor to trade off all those machine guns I've been finding, and to shore up my stim pack reserves because I've gone through quite a lot in the vault. After another trip home to do some cooking, I make my way to Diamond City. Thankfully now the gate's already open and I can ignore Piper completely. I quickly stop into the doctor's to buy some stim packs before heading over to Nick's place. I regale Nick with the story of what happened to my son, then convince a politician to not be a sleazebag so I can get the key to Kellogg's house so we can figure out where the hell he went. There's no sign of Kellogg in the house, but then Nick suggests we use dog meat to track him down. This completes the getting a clue quest and I hit level 9. I end up taking the Bloody Mess perk for the 5% damage boost, then I can follow Dogmeat to track down the man who shot my baby and stole my husband. Wait, no. During the very first stretch of this journey, we happen upon a group of raiders, so you know what this means. I also killed this settler because I mistook them for a raider at first and started stabbing them, and didn't notice until I'd already stabbed them that they were a settler. And by that point I thought, well, it's kind of awkward to just stop stabbing them. I had to finish. It's like that awkward feeling you get when you realise you've walked the wrong way but don't want to turn back because that would just make it more awkward, only this one has murder. Does anyone else do that, or is it just me? The walk thing, not the murders. I know there are other murderers. That's a joke. Don't strike me, YouTube. Anyway, we finish off these raiders and find one of Kellogg's clues. As we push on, we encounter a rather vicious group of mole rats, as well as a pack of feral dogs, and just to round things out, a nice lovely Yaogwai. With Rad Bear and his backup dogs taken care of, we can continue our search for Kellogg. We find some more clues, and this leads to us passing over a bridge where some feral ghouls had made their home. Sadly, these particular tenants hadn't paid their rent yet, so I had to evict them. We then find the Assaultron and I have to play a game with the camera to try and line it up so I can continue the conversation with the bloody thing. Pressing on, we find two Radstag which are clearly in league with the Serial Man and we have to kill them. Although, truthfully I had to kill them because Dogmeat got aggroed by their presence and he wouldn't go back on the quest path until they were dead. But eventually, Dogmeat guides us to Fort Hagen where Kellogg is hiding out. After I send Dogmeat on his way, I run past the turrets on the roof and make it inside. I did also travel back to the Red Rocket truck stop just before I came here to grab my power armor and do some cooking. I did one of those things, and judging by the HUD on the screen, I'm pretty sure you can tell which one of those things I forgot to do. I somehow didn't notice I wasn't wearing my power armor until about halfway through here, and by that point I couldn't be asked to backtrack just to go and get it. As with the last time I encountered Simps, my health was dropping so fast it wasn't even funny. The various turrets didn't help much either. Before I even got to the basement I went for a small nation's worth of food. You know, I'm starting to suspect that Mr. Kellogg doesn't exactly want visitors at this moment. However, Stabitha and Bleedy just can't take a hint, so we pressed onwards. Descending further in, I take a shot of medics to dull the pain. In this single run alone, I definitely used more medics than I've ever used in any of my characters before combined. And that includes all the Fallout New Vegas characters who wear the sneaky stealth suit that automatically injects you with the stuff the moment you enter combat. That 25% boost to your damage threshold really helped. I was still wondering why I was taking so much damage and somehow still hadn't tweaked at this particular point that I wasn't wearing my power armor in spite of the numerous VAT shots basically showing me this. I think my brain never fully moved on from the Fallout 3 Fallout New Vegas thing where power armor was just another type of clothing you wore rather than an entire system. Anyway, back on topic, I managed to disarm most of the mines I come across in this area, which usually blow my legs off, and I'm pleasantly surprised to learn that these ceiling-mounted turrets are within melee range. Heading deeper into Fort Hagen, I once again try my luck at sneaking. Surprise, surprise, it doesn't work because I suck at sneaking. Luckily I don't suck at stabbing, so I can still get out of this fuck up.
Institute protocol. Hostile.
Further in, I encounter what must be a malfunctioning synth because he passed right by me without even seeing me there. Either that or the game felt bad because my sneak attempts have been woeful up to this point and just wanted to give me this one. Pushing onward, there are yet more synths and turrets to deal with, my health going down faster than I do on a date. By this point, I was quick saving after nearly every enemy encounter. Progressing yet further, there's a more powerful synth waiting for me, which we have to kick the shit out of. Luckily, it wasn't anything a critical hit couldn't take care of. After scrapping him and his buddy, picking some locks and destroying some turrets, I hit level 10. I take the second rank of toughness, then proceed to my meeting with Mr. Kellogg. We have a bit of a chat as I try to mentally strategize the upcoming battle, hoping that serial types are weak to Switchblade types, and then our legendary battle begins. And now I'm addicted to medics. Should have seen it coming. You were no match for me, you weird bowl of cornflakes. With Kellogg dead and a bit of his brain in my pocket, I can finally leave this bloody fort just in time to be greeted by the sight of the Pridwin.
People of the Commonwealth, do not interfere. Our intentions are peaceful. We are the Brotherhood of Steel.
I wonder if I can stab it. After quickly returning home to dump some stuff, I headed back to Diamond City to first of all cure my Med-X addiction. I then did some trading with Percy before finally remembering the actual reason I was in town to discuss the break in the case with Nick Valentine. I tell him what went down with Kellogg, he's not surprised, and then thanks to Piper just randomly being there to say something, he gets an idea. It's literally a case of Piper says Thing X, and then Nick goes, Thing X, and then it spawns his idea. The plan is to head to the memory den in Good Neighbor and speak to Dr. Amari, who's pretty good at extracting long-forgotten memories. Of course, this time it'd be a bit of a challenge given that our patient is dead. Though thanks to that bit I snagged off Kellogg, we can plug it into Nick and basically use him to access the memories. Sadly, there's nothing to stab in the brain, but we do get the location of a man named Virgil who can help us find the institute where our son apparently is. Virgil is hiding out in the glowing sea, the most irradiated area of the Commonwealth and basically an utter death trap. Usually I'd avoid that area until I've got a nice powerful assault rifle and more grenades than I can carry. Of course, those aren't an option this time. Once we're back in the real world, I head home to get my suit of power armor, but before I head to the glowing sea proper, I decide to quickly go to Concord. As you might remember from last time, I pretty much skipped the Minuteman side of the Minuteman quest just so I could grab the power armor and leg it. As I had avoided talking to them before I got the power armor, it meant the second wave of raiders that normally spawn didn't spawn, and neither did the Deathclaw. The reason I came back now? I wanted to see if I could hold my own in a fight against the Deathclaw. The glowing sea is frankly swarming with the buggers, so I thought it was a good idea to gauge just how tough a Deathclaw fight is at this point in the game. Basically, I wanted to see if it was worth engaging Deathclaws I saw, or just sneaking past them, because you know I'm so good at sneaking. Anyway, I agreed to help Preston, then head outside to fight the raiders. As you can imagine, they're not that hard to kill, but they're not really what I'm worried about. Doable. Deathclaws were doable. I clear out the last of the raiders, then quickly head inside to Preston and his merry band of weirdos, send them on their way, then head back to the Red Rocket truck stop to quickly repair my power armor. There was no serious damage, I just wanted it to be in peak condition, you know? With all that sorted, I fast travelled to Diamond City as it was the closest place I had to the edge of the glowing sea. And yes, I forgot my power armor again. Whilst I patched up a wounded wasteland dog, I made a bit of a plan of action in my head. I'd keep moving until I discovered the edge of the glowing sea or a place close enough, head back to the Red Rocket truck stop to get the power armor, then make my way in further. On the plus side, the fusion cores that serve as a power source for your power armor won't be running dry anytime soon. As I pressed on, I encountered a rather cool looking radstag, which of course I killed. I looted a random cabin, then snuck past a group of super mutants as the Brotherhood of Steel came in to kill them. My god, they're terrible pilots. But eventually I reached the edge of the glowing sea and hit level 11. I settle on the second rank of bloody mess simply for the damage boost, then head home to grab my power armor. The glowing sea is the most miserable place in the entire Commonwealth. It's so radioactive that players without appropriate protection can be killed in under 2 minutes. Thankfully, power armor, as well as giving you a massive boost to your damage threshold, also gives you a decent boost to your radiation resistance. Not long into my trek, I encounter a Deathclaw and a bit of a fight ensues. It didn't go too badly once I realised that you can just circle around a Deathclaw and occasionally attack it, and you can avoid most of its strikes this way. And thanks to the power armor protecting me from its instant kill attack, I was pretty confident that this beast wouldn't be a problem for much longer. After only a couple of minutes, Mr. Deathclaw was dead and I could continue with my quest. I'm not sure why he was carrying a clipboard, maybe he was doing a survey. A little bit further into the sea, I encounter 4 rad scorpions. Surprisingly, this fight doesn't actually go too bad. It did, however, take quite a long time. working finally. I make it to the crater of Atom and the woman inside gives me directions to Virgil's whereabouts. After leaving the crater, I find some sting wings, which are more of a nuisance than anything else and are fairly easily dispatched. I then come across a Deathclaw who's so excited to see me he jumps into the air and kills himself from the fall. That is not how Deathclaws work. We make it to Virgil's cave and have a word with the bloke. He tells us we'll need to fight and kill a courser if we want any hope of getting into the Institute itself. Once I'm able to track one, I quickly drop my power armor off back at home, then head to the CIT ruins to begin following the signal. I manage to sneak past the usual group of raiders that's operating within this area. I kill a Mirelurk with a few cheeky stabs and find a building the courser is inside. The building itself is swarming with gunners. Like the Triggermen earlier, they're not too tough individually, but in a group they can do so much damage to you in such a short amount of time that it's really dangerous to engage them. This area was a definite drain on my stim pack reserves, I'll tell you that. Though my serrated blade's bleeding effect really did help here. Luckily, like when we were in the vault earlier, there's not a lot of cover for the gunners to use and not many places they can go to outflank the player. There were also plenty of opportunities for sneak attacks and I didn't completely bungle them this time. This assault was actually going a lot smoother than I thought it would. I was clearing out the gunners efficiently, I hit level 12 and took the 3rd rank of the sneak perk. Things were going nicely. Until I met the bitch with the rocket launcher. Respawning, I decided to take things a lot more carefully. If I could just get a few good hits on her before she realised I was there, I could take her down and loot that missile launcher before anyone else could get their hands on it. I used the 3rd-person camera to look around the corner to see where she was so I could plan my attack properly, and then I struck. I somehow deflected a missile explosion with sheer force of will, disarmed her, and managed to kill her fairly easily. And I picked up the launcher so her mates couldn't have it. As I pressed on, I discovered I had 2 stealth boys in my inventory. I don't remember where I picked them up, but figured there was no better time to use them than now. The gunners were no match for my expert assassin skills, and from this point onwards getting to the courser was actually fairly straightforward. The extra rank I had to the sneak skill was definitely working in my favour. I was getting way more sneak attacks and the gunners were none the wiser. The fight with the courser didn't go too badly either. See, a lot of Fallout boss characters will use stealth boys to try and throw you off when you attack them. If you're a ranged character, this can be fairly lethal to your progress. If you're melee, however, not so much. With a melee weapon you don't need pinpoint accuracy, you can just swing vaguely in the direction of the character and you'll usually hit them. Also, his particular weapon fires that big blue beam which really gives away his position, so it's easy to track him. Honestly, it really didn't take me too long to take him down. With the courser chip finally in hand, I can make my way back to Dr. Amari and Good Neighbor and ask for her help decoding it. Unfortunately, she can't actually decode this for us. Institute Tech is just a little bit above her pay grade, but thankfully she knows a group of weirdos who can help. The Railroad. And thankfully I remember where the Railroad is based, so I head there immediately. I kill some dogs on the way, some feral ghouls, I sneak past some super mutants and eventually make it to the church the Railroad are using as their headquarters. Inside the church, I make my way through the catacombs, killing any feral ghouls I happen to pass by on the way, then I come to the big wheel puzzle thing. Once again I tap into my psychic powers and enter the word Railroad to solve the puzzle. Once the door opens, I make my way inside, and am greeted by Desdemona, the leader of the Railroad, and I think that's where we're going to stop for today. We've done quite a lot today, and this video is once again getting a bit long. If you made it this far, please in the comments I want you to write horny Deathclaws, because that way I know you made it this far. I do plan to have part 3 of this done by the 3rd, so fingers crossed it should be out around that sort of time. Anyway, do take care my lovelies, I hope you've had fun here today, I certainly have, it's been an interesting experience. We will see you next time, I love you all, goodbye.